This episode contains sensitive content. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to the Culture Podcast, where we uncover the hidden mechanics of high control groups, their tactics, and their impact. And we speak with the survivors who broke free. My name is Derek, and I'm your host.
My name is Trinity, and I'm also your host. On this podcast, we explore cult life as real people who have lived through the life-changing process of leaving a high control group.
I want to welcome my guest to the podcast. He has a handle online of XJDub, but I call him Mitch. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So you're getting to the point where you're becoming pretty familiar with podcasting.
Yes.
But you're usually on the other end of the mic, interviewing and kind of guiding the conversation. But you're also grew up as a Jehovah's Witness.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And you have begun to kind of chart down the path of creating content for others like myself that have come out of the Jehovah's Witness religion. Before we kind of dive into a little bit of your story, how's that been going lately?
It's going great. I'm relatively new at all of this. When I stopped in December of 2024, I just kind of went silent. And I became vocal. You and I, as we were talking about, I became more vocal like at the end of May. And so it's like I'm just learning each day, each week, and I feel more comfortable, and I feel like I'm finding my footing.
Yeah, I'm the same. I started doing this in about June, and so we have kind of a similar starting point or trajectory. And yeah, you learn along the way, and it's great to see, you kind of getting people that resonate with you. I know me personally, I'm not sure how we found each other online, but yeah, connected, followed each other, and chatted briefly, probably about a month ago now.
Yeah.
And we're both pretty busy, but yeah, glad we were finally able to set aside some time to chat. And one of the things I immediately noticed about you, Mitch, and I'm sure other people resonate as well. I'm really, really into genuine kind of authenticity and kind of just conversations. And that's what I recognize from you right away is, you really put your shit out there.
Yeah.
And you're pretty darn genuine, even if even if it's not fully polished and for ready for the limelight. You're ready to hit that record button at any moment.
Yeah, like you said, I like to show people that I'm genuine, and that's what I tell them. I'm not like scripted. Like my podcasts, they aren't scripted. When I push the record button, I can be making coffee, and I'll be like, "Oh, you know what? I want to tell them about that," and I talk. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty great.
Yeah. Sometimes I go slow, and my wife even notices. But when I'm going slow, it's because my mind, what I want to say in here, I don't really want to like portray that to my listeners because they'll probably run scared. So I have a filter.
Yeah.
I have a huge filter.
Well, and of course, our partners are always going to be our best allies and our harshest critics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I release a podcast, I am waiting to hear the thoughts of my better half.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to kind of say we briefly touched on it. So you grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. I believe you're a little bit older than me. You're in your 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And this is audio only for maybe some context. Also African American.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to touch on that a little bit because I'm a very curious person by nature. So I want to touch on your journey when it comes to that as well. So
Okay.
I think some of this stuff is fascinating. My mindset, and I'd love to get your take on it. Obviously, is growing up in a witness, at least from my perspective. I always kind of felt like we were all the same, like whatever race. If you're Native American, African American, I didn't really see race at all. I was like, we're all making it to the new system together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're all creation and creatures of Adam and Eve and that sin.
Mm-hmm. I felt like that for most of my life. I felt like that.
Yeah, and then after I got out, you really start to see, oh, there's not the same type of brotherhood and connection that different races have. I know it sounds so crazy to say
Mm-hmm.
because people living on the outside are like, well, of course, duh. I mean, but I mean, we were all in this cult, and
Yeah.
it was like that we had a common bond that obviously was built around some lies and whatnot, but that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of how I felt. So as we chat, I'd love to get your take on some of that, and I'm sure you have some insights that are completely different than mine, and I'd love to hear them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But tell me just a little bit about your kind of history as a youth, kind of growing up as a Jehovah's Witness.
As a youth, I had a constant struggle. I was born and raised in it, but then my father was an elder, so I knew I had to like live a certain way. And I've always had this like a war in my head, how I am supposed to be and what's expected of me versus like who I am, the real Mitch. And so as a teen, that was hard because you want to be normal, you want to fit in, especially at school, at work, and so I think that was a lot of pressure for me. Like, and I'll say too, I enjoy being a witness. So it's not like I didn't want to be a witness. It's just I had this other side of me that the normal me that was screaming to get out, but I knew I had to like try to just make both sides of me work.
When you say the normal you screaming, like, did you actively, when you were younger, like teen, preteen, actually recognize this, or was it till you got older?
No, I recognized I had a different side of me. Like in the second grade, it's yeah,
Okay,
yeah. This
okay.
was something I've always known.
So you must have learned early on, like, I gotta bury that.
Yeah,
Do you recall moments where you tested that theory when you were younger?
a lot of times. I mean, that's why I said second grade because my mom was a substitute teacher at my school, and at lunch she's looking for me. She finds me in a coat closet, like making out with a girl in my class. And so, I would get these lectures from my father. I would go like spurts of just doing nothing, and then I would just do something warranted a lecture, and then I'm like, okay, I shouldn't have done that. And I would even tell my father while he's lecturing me, like, I don't know what got over me. I shouldn't have done that. I had a perfect story of that. I was 15, and like they know me. They know that was my issue. Like females, but I was 15, and my father found out that I was like kind of secretly dating a sister way older than me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's always been moments in my, especially as a teen, where I was like, I shouldn't be doing this.
So I'm classifying you as smooth operator. Uh,
That's very accurate.
yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah,
so
very accurate.
so you and then the other question I wanted to ask you was, so you talked about being an elder's child. I know to some extent, my father's an elder now, but it wasn't until he got older that he was an elder. But I can know to some extent the pressure there. What did that pressure look like from your father? Like what are some of those direct things where he was putting that pressure on you, and also, like, was some of it external?
he would, my father, like you were telling me that I'm
Mhm.
genuine and everything, and that's how my father was. He wouldn't. I think he knew how I operated my mind. So instead of just saying, act like this, don't do this, he would take the time to explain to me why. And so he was, pretty much letting me know that if I acted a certain way, it reflected on him and his position. He would lose freedom of speech because, like, he couldn't be on the platform trying to teach the congregation, but I'm doing what he's saying we shouldn't be doing. So when he would word it like that to me, I realized like it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
Like I can't mess up what he's worked so hard for. That's selfish of me. That's what I would be telling myself. And the external pressure is just like I know that a lot of my friends were the elders' kids, and like they would tell us in so many words, like we need to act a certain way
Yeah.
so we wouldn't mess them up, because there was a lot of us, the elders' kids, that just hung out together. And I would say I got more external pressure about this is how you're supposed to be than I did from my parents.
It's kind of wild because gosh, you only have that one time frame to be a child,
Hmm.
and to be worrying about your father or your mother and how they're trying to move up in this establishment,
Hmm.
and to take away that time from any child is like, what? I'm just being my younger self, being carefree. And then you're immediately already starting to get like, I gotta watch my toes,
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
because he's not going to be able to move up the ladder,
Hmm.
and then of course, yeah, you said you had a lot of other elders because you guys freaking had to wait in the hall for like 3 hours after it's over,
Yeah.
for those damn elders meetings.
Yeah, this is when they had real elders meetings. They kind of got away from that, but back when I was growing up, meetings was a solid 2 hours, and then like the elders would have meetings, and sometimes they last an hour, hour and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, for people listening that may not know, yeah, so our normal meetings would happen throughout the week, and the normal meeting for the everyone would end, and then whether it's Tuesday night or Thursday night or whatever, then the elders would all go in the back office, the library, close the door, have a table they all sit at or whatnot, and they would just discuss the issues and problems of the congregation. Probably some sort of meeting about disfellowshipping someone or excommunicating them from the church or Kingdom Hall. And yeah, it just take hours. I mean, if you're a kid and an elder's wife, you're just waiting around for it to end. And I think some people started to wise up and like, oh, we're taking two cars. What are we
Yeah.
doing here? Like, why?
Yeah.
I'm not going with you like to the meeting. I'm going home. Uh,
Uh,
but yeah, that's that's real, man. Like, I don't know, but
mhm,
so and then a common theme we constantly hear is baptized very early, very young.
mhm.
So did you get that pressure as well to get baptized pretty darn young?
Not at all. No, no pressure.
Hmm.
Again, my father, he would just lay things out for me, for all of us. It was my sister and my brother as well. And they didn't put. I like that they didn't put pressure on me because my sister got baptized when she was 9.
Mm,
They never ever put pressure on me, and I was 16 when I got baptized. I felt I said, I liked being in the truth. I liked doing what I was doing. I had a lot of privileges even before baptism.
yeah.
I knew personally if I wanted to continue, like climbing the ladder myself, baptism is a natural step in that procession. So yeah, I got baptized when I was 16, and then that opened up even more privileges for me.
See, it's funny that you say 16 not being too young. I look back now personally and go, I was not of the age of consent,
Hmm.
you know, and at 16, of course, you weren't either. There's no way that we were developed enough emotionally and physically to sign that life contract at that age.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I just hear people 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I was 17.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay, you weren't too far off from me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And way too young. We really starting to figure out some stuff in our own brains at a much older age.
Hmm.
You could argue we're still figuring it out,
Yeah. For real.
especially for us that have recently been out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you were baptized at 19,
16.
16,
Hmm.
and because you're an elder son and your siblings, you guys are all kind of along this course, and things are going great.
Yes.
Walk me through kind of the path, because I know just from seeing some of your stuff online, some people have this kind of journey where everything's great until it's not. And based on from what I've seen from you and heard from you online, you've kind of have had a little bit of ups and downs in the faith, in the religion, in the
Mm.
truth. So walk me through some of that, some of the ups and downs of your journey of being disfellowshipped, a ministerial servant.
I will say that most, not even most, all of my downs were self inflicted. They were things I did to myself, and I have not shared this with my listeners or viewers yet. You're the first one who will get this. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
not too many people even know this. My wife, of course, and my kids. But what formed me? Because remember, I told you, like, I got in trouble in second grade with the girl.
Yeah.
What happened? What started me down this crazy path in life was I was taken advantage of by a female relative when I was very
Oh.
young,
Oh my
and
gosh.
that screwed up my head. And so, I had to go to therapy. Uh, when I first went to therapy, it was like 2016, 2017, around that time. And I acted a certain way all my life. And I'm telling my therapist, like, I don't know why I do the things I do. She's asking me questions and she's like trying to dig into it because she said I had no rhyme or reason. Some people I would act a certain way. Some people I like nothing, wouldn't get a
Yeah.
reaction out of me. Come to find out through a lot of therapy, I was doing a lot of things that I was doing in response to what happened to me when I was young with that female relative.
Yeah.
And she was saying that was my way of, when I felt uncomfortable, that was my way of taking over the situation,
Yeah.
acting out in these particular ways. Well, as I grew up, acting out in these particular ways warranted discipline from the congregation. So yeah,
I'm so sorry to hear that, man.
a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that. It's not easy,
Yeah.
man. Like it really breaks my heart when I hear anyone gets abused at such a young age as well. I'm really grateful that you got to a place where you can start, speaking with someone, a therapist, people that grew up in the Jehovah's Witness faith. We definitely know there was no speaking to a therapist. There
Mm-mm.
was no
No.
talking this shit out with someone. We were taught you go to the elders.
Yeah.
So are you able to walk me through like your thought process where you finally said, I think I need to talk with someone to kind of work through this?
Yeah, it was my wife. Like, I had the same pattern. Remember, I was telling you, like, I would have to get lectures from my parents because of things I did. I would tell them the same thing too. Like, I don't know why I did that. Like, yeah, it was stupid. I don't know why I did it. Same thing was happening when I was an adult, and with my wife, and she brought up she brought up therapy.
Yeah.
First time freaked me out.
Yeah, of
Right? I'm
course.
like, we don't go to therapists, and she looked at me like I was
Yeah.
crazy. Because let me just share with your listeners, she got baptized as an adult. I met my wife when I was disfellowship the second time, so we saw life from different perspectives. So she's telling me maybe you should go to therapy. I really love you. I know something is wrong. She knew what I just told you, and I'm like at first fighting it. Like, it's weird, a
Yeah.
weird concept to me. But I wanted us to work, and I wanted to be the best for her and my family.
Yeah.
So I went.
I think it's amazing, and that makes perfect sense because I think there's obviously the witness aspect, no therapy, and then obviously the man aspect, no therapy.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I always say like the cliche behind every good man's a great woman,
Hmm.
and these women just really help out and kind of put things in perspective and help guide us maybe down a path sometimes we don't want to
Oh
go.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
She put up with a lot, and I'm glad I listened to her because it helped me. Going to therapy that time really, really helped me discover why I really was acting up, because I had buried all that deep down.
yeah,
Like, I'm talking about it now. I didn't talk about all that coming up. Nobody knew. Not even my parents.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you too, like, I mean, you were so young. Did you remember trying to talk to your parents about it?
Well, something happened to where we had to talk about it, and like her family, her parents came over, and it was me and my parents. The six of us are talking, and like with her, with her, she's just like deny, deny, deny. With me, I'm afraid, so I'm denying. I'm confused, so I'm denying. I don't want to get in trouble because I think I'm just going to get in trouble with my parents because I'm thinking it's my fault.
Yeah.
And so, like, even when she and I became adults, and I approached her, and she just said she didn't remember, and I got that night was horrible for me, and that's the last time I talked about it. And
Yeah.
she denied it, saying it. She don't know what I'm talking about. It never happened. And I'll never forget. I went, and we were at another relative's birthday party, and I just went and drank a whole bottle of rum and just passed out. And I never talked about it again until therapy.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I think the really horrible thing about abusers, they I don't know if they always seem to find a way to just move on.
Yeah.
They're just living their life and the ripple
Hmm.
effects of their abuse lasts a lifetime,
Yeah.
for the person that's abused. And the thing is everyone has a certain level of abuse, high to low, but it's like that ripple's still there, man.
Oh yeah.
Um
Most definitely.
and yeah, I think we're just taught to kind of bury that stuff and
Hmm.
and obviously with the religious aspect, there's some confusion because it's like we're surrounding ourselves by people that are all part of this faith. You're the person that did the abuse was also in the faith?
No. No. Not at all.
Mm. Yeah, there's also that aspect of, family members are a little safer than worldly people. And so I know we talk about cousins kind of being an entryway to,
Yeah.
getting into some trouble. But that's horrible, man. So I'm so glad you got through therapy. How are you feeling now about all that?
I feel a lot better because like I knew why I was acting in certain patterns, and I would say I feel good about what happened. I don't dwell on it. It happened. I know what I have to do to not go in that downward spiral. And like now I can talk about it openly without like going crazy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously your partner's a huge support.
Hmm.
Have your kids been helpful through this?
Yeah, yeah. When I first told them, they were shocked.
Yeah.
Um, because, like I said, my wife was the first one who I really, really just opened up to and told. Uh, and we were studying one night, like a family worship, and the subject matter that we were talking about, and I let them know, like things that can happen. I wanted them to see how ugly the world can be,
Yeah.
and how, like you just brought up earlier a couple of minutes ago, we would like to feel like we can trust people, especially our relatives.
Yeah.
And I'm just letting them know that sadly that is not true. You can't even trust relatives. And I told them about an experience I walked in on with my sister when we were both younger, and I walked in again a relative, one of my uncles trying to do something to her, and like I'm young and I almost man yeah I did some pretty horrible things to him, and then telling them what happened to me. So I just wanted to let them know that yeah, even though we would like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and think we're in a safe place with relatives, that's just not the case in the world we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And it's so sad that you learned that life lesson at such a young age. And I do agree with patterns. You start to develop patterns of coping and kind of responding to these things, even if
Hmm.
it's at a subconscious level.
Yeah.
Yeah, until you really start to be vulnerable and kind of look at this process, it's going to kind of continue. Your body just tries to, and your brain just tries to protect itself.
Yeah, and mine was doing that very much. Now that I can look back and I've been through
Yeah.
therapy, that's what I was doing. My brain was trying to like keep all that crap buried.
Yeah.
So do this. It was like the things that I was doing was giving me the hits, the chemicals I needed in my brain to keep me feeling good and to keep me feeling like I don't even remember all that crap that happened when I was 8 and 9.
Do you feel comfortable enough to share what some of those acting outs are? Like, at, teen, preteen, as you got up in age, which kind of led to some of your disfellowshipping?
So it's always females.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I tell people, it's like I've never drugs never interested me. I like having my full mental faculties.
Yeah.
So wasn't interested in drugs. Alcohol wasn't an issue, but yeah, it's always been females.
Well, it's interesting that you say drugs because in my opinion, maybe from what I'm hearing, your drug was females.
It was
Yeah.
that was my drug of choice. Yeah, because I could control it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what my whole thing was. Like, you to talk to them and the chase. It was like a high for me.
For sure.
Like it gave me a high. If it was a female that threw herself at me,
Mhm.
I wasn't even interested.
Yep.
That was no fun for me. And that's what my therapist, like, she slowly learned that. She was like, why not her? But then this one, you showed interest, and then she finally started piecing it together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like a hunter. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's therapists, man, they know what's going on, man. The more I start to really have a fascination for neuroscience,
Hmm.
um, you start to really learn, the mechanics of the brain and the dopamine and these loops that your brain is looking for, and
Hmm.
it's like, yeah, it's totally interesting that you say it that way because it's so true in my opinion as well of the hunt and also maybe I don't know, like how would you describe it? Like the danger of doing these things that are wrong, or I don't know. Did your therapist kind of explain it to you, like how your abuse led to how you would take it out on females, or
Oh yeah, yeah. She laid it all out for me. I so I guess to feel protected, I had to be in control of like everything. Let's see what I was doing. I would get them to a certain point, and then I just do a Houdini and just drop out of their lives.
uh, you were ghosting people before that was even a term?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I was always ghosting women, and it wouldn't even be anything physical.
yeah,
It would just be me chasing. If they told me like no at first or no way in the world we'll talk, oh, I was all in. Like I was locked in. And as soon as I would get them to commit to me, I'm like, oh, I got you. And then I just disappeared. Like that was my MO.
did you find a struggle with that when you did end up finding a witness partner?
It it affected. So this is my second marriage.
Yeah,
My first marriage, it really affected that because she was born and raised in the truth as well.
yeah.
And so
You're
it's
gonna
like,
you're gonna call it the truth for about another year or two.
see,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. Every time I say that on my podcast, I like pinch
Yeah,
myself. But
yeah,
it's like she was in that religion as well, born and raised. And so she didn't know all this about me.
yeah.
So it was, she just probably still to this day just think I'm just like this moron, but it's like, it put a strain on me, especially with her, because she didn't know like what I'm telling you now.
Well, yeah, it's if you frame it in that mindset that kind of chase and that hunt was a drug, and if you're not able to get that drug anymore, you're gonna act out to some extent.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
So that acting out, did that lead to, like, seeking partners outside of the marriage?
like what I had to learn, well, what I had to accept was even if it was uh like just an emotional
Mhm.
connection,
Yeah,
that was a relationship.
definitely.
Like my brain was blocking that part of it out, like to me it was just a game.
Yeah,
But then I slowly realized, and just by listening to people, that you're having this emotional connection with someone that's not your marriage mate,
yeah.
and so yeah, it would lead me to talk. I mean, that was a big issue with my first marriage, was that, like, it was just always women. I was in Atlanta, and even my mom. It's bad when your own mom call you out. Like we
Yeah,
like we were we
yeah.
were at a restaurant, just to, like, I don't know, it was like 30 witnesses after a meeting one night, and this one, like, single sister asked me to, like, walk her out to her car, and like a dummy I did.
Mhm.
And man, I have never seen my mom. Those are like one of the most, like, angriest I've seen her at me.
Yeah,
And when I came back in the restaurant, and yeah, because I'm married, my wife is sitting there, but I walked some other woman out, and when my mom broke it down to me like that, I
sure.
felt horrible. And she said, for the majority of your life, it's been females. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she was like, your downfall has always been females throughout your whole life. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if anything has happened to you, but females have always had a hold on you. And when she told me that, like, it kind of showed me who I was. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually, been emotionally cheated on myself, and it's really a horrible thing, man. It's right up there for me, at least. Like, if someone is cheating on someone, even in an emotional capacity, having been through that experience, I overheard my partner, who wasn't a witness, this is when I was out,
Hmm.
on the phone, basically like FaceTiming someone,
Hmm.
and the things that she was saying to this man, it just had me shaken.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that a committed partner would be saying those things.
Hmm.
Um, and so I have an understanding and a sympathy towards anyone where that happens to.
Yeah.
Um,
And the thing that's crazy about me, I didn't mean it that crap.
yeah,
I was just saying it to say it, to get what I wanted out of them, which was, like, I wanted them to say that they liked me, or that they were all in. That, and, like, that's what I wanted.
yeah, it's
Like,
yeah the validation from a female, um,
hmm.
no doubt stems from the early abuse from an older female.
Hmm.
It's a vicious cycle. So your current wife knew this after you went to therapy. So 2016, I think you said. How long did it take for you to kind of rewrite your brain and till you got to a better place?
It took me it took me a while, because I'm learning all this from the therapist, and for the time that I went to her, it was beneficial to me. It opened up the conversation with me and my current wife a lot.
Hmm.
I had to stop going to her, though, because one day I come in from my session, and she said, "I want you to, like, at the end of this session, I want you to have a book that I think will help you." And she said, "I think it'll help your certain situation. It's helped some more of my clients. I want you to, like, read it and think about it." And so we get to the end of that session, and the book is a book about having an open marriage.
Oh no.
And I'm like, look, I come to you for an addiction I have, and your solution is for me to go home to my wife and say, "Hey, my therapist said we should have an open relationship." I was like, one, you don't know who my wife is. Two, I can't do that for the religious reasons.
Yeah,
And that was like the last time I saw her. But I do appreciate my time with her,
yeah,
because she got me on the track on what was wrong. And it's just I told my wife that I'm determined to make myself better. I told her I was a narcissist. I did a lot of reading on narcissism, and she worked from home, and like I'm reading a book. I run upstairs and I'm like, I'm a narcissist. She's like, what? And I was like, I've been doing all this reading and I'm a narcissist. And she was like, what? And I just and so I told her I was determined to be a better person,
Mm.
like for not only myself but for her and the kids. I said, y'all
Oh,
deserve better. I haven't been worth crap, and
yeah.
I'm just determined to be better. I know I can be better, and it took some time, but the place I am now with that is like night and day. Because I talk to, like with what I do on social media, I talk to females constantly.
Yeah.
The old me would have been casting fishing lines out,
Oh, yeah.
you know. But now it's just a normal conversation, and that's it. I'm happy.
Yeah, same for me. It's well, what I was thinking though, with what you were saying, like that's such a quick thing to say, but a hard thing to do, to come to that self affirmation of like, I'm a narcissist and I need to improve for myself and my family.
Hmm.
Gosh, very much easier said than
Oh yeah,
doing, you know.
yeah.
And
It took years of work.
now through all this process, you're working on yourself. You're discovering a little bit more about yourself. You were in therapy. Um, you're you're still a witness through this whole process.
Hmm. Yeah.
What's your mindset when it comes to all this? You're kind of, and what I'm seeing is you're kind of juggling a couple plates here.
Oh yeah, yeah. I keep in mind, no one at the congregation knows I'm in therapy. They don't know why I'm in therapy. To them, I'm like, and I'll use terms that they use. These are no by no means how I describe myself.
Okay.
They're saying I'm a pillar of the congregation. They're saying I'm a soldier, like for God, and for like these are like elders' words. So
Yeah.
that's their viewpoint of me. And so it was like it would mess with my heads a lot of times because I'm like in my head while they're telling me this, I'm like I'm not worthy like of your praise. If y'all only knew
Well,
what.
you're a good for nothing slave, is what they
Yeah,
always told
yeah,
us. You
yeah.
know, God forbid they'd ever say something nice about us.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
it's I don't blame anyone for having, self-doubt or kind of never thinking they're good enough, because they're constantly moving the goalpost.
Oh yeah.
You
Hmm.
know, if you do something wrong, and it's this weird cycle we're taught, where it's like I do something wrong, I gotta go tell on myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're just hoping by me kind of telling on myself that I'm gonna feel better about it, and they're gonna
I
make me.
tell you what
But
though,
they don't make us feel good about it at all.
it that throws them off though. I used to throw them off so bad
Yeah.
because they wouldn't be expecting it. Like I always told my parents growing up, like I understood what it meant to be a Christian and to be a witness. Like, and if I ever done something wrong, I would just tell on myself, which I did. And so, I would go up to these elders. The times I got in trouble with the congregation, and I go up to an elder. Hey, how you doing? We making small talk, and I just be like, hey, like I need a committee meeting, and they're like, what? And I was like, I need a committee meeting. They're like, for what? And I'll just tell them, and they, oh, okay. So
It's like,
it's like
Mitch is in here
that
again.
culture, that culture of like telling on yourself is deep.
It's wild, man. I don't think people that haven't grown up in a high control group or a cult really understand the level that they guilt us into telling on ourselves, because they think,
Hmm.
just through their the way that they give talks, or the way the articles are read, is just these questions that they ask us, like, you know do you want to be blood guilty when the great tribulation starts?
Yeah.
Or do you want to have these things left undone before it's too late and the ark door closes?
Yep.
And you're like, motherfucker, I gotta go tell on myself. Uh, you know?
And that I did. They weren't ready for my stories, but yeah, I told them myself.
Yeah. Well, what was the I guess the counterbalance as well to you always were kind of doing wrong to some extent, but then you
Hmm.
also wanted to be a ministerial servant.
Yeah, and so it's like my father always told me, like, because some brothers will always be like, I want to be a servant. I want to be a servant. How can I be a servant? And my father always told me, if a brother does the things he's supposed to do, he'll naturally progress and become a servant. I, just being in the organization for so long, I knew how to move as a brother in a congregation. So I will tell you the first, because I was a ministerial servant 3 different times.
Hmm.
First time, I should not have been, but they're imperfect men. They only see what they see at the hall.
Sure.
I should not have been a ministerial servant. Second time, which was in like 2016, 2017, and I was like, I'm better than I was in the late 90s, so I think I'm ready. But then, like, I was definitely not ready, and it proved itself true. But I will say the third time, and I told my wife, I said the next time, if I ever become a ministerial servant again, I want to do it with a clean conscience.
Yeah.
When those two elders talk to me about being a ministerial servant, I want to look them dead in the eyes and say, yes, I accept it. I am ready. And that's what I did. That third time, I felt great because I was living the way I should have been living. First 2 times, no way in hell I should have been a servant.
Which is funny because, you know, it's spirit directed,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The spirit was not liking me the first two
No.
times.
Kind of feel like the spirit's just grabbing onto whoever.
Man, if they would have known. Oh, man. But what do you do? It's like, and I was telling somebody this last week, they pull you back there to tell you you've been recommended for appointment. And, like, I'm not going to look at them like, no, I'm not ready. I just like, okay.
Well, when I imagine I'd like to hear your take on this too. If you thought about this years later at the time, if there were parts of you that had narcissistic tendencies, much less full on narcissist, and just the way that the organization, the Jehovah's Witness faith, just treats the hierarchy of men versus women.
Yeah.
There had to have been a party that's like, I would love to be in this position to have this authority and this power, and
Mm.
people look up to me. Like, did you ever get a sense of that?
The part of me, the part of me with that was, and I didn't realize this then, but now that I said I'm a narcissist. A huge part of me back in the first and second times that I got appointed, in my head, I would always be like, you know what? I can give a talk way better than that brother.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I would have brought this point out. Whenever I get appointed, I'm gonna be this type of speaker. And so
Sure.
that was my motivation back then. In fact, I made one brother, he was so upset at me. This is during my second time as a ministerial servant, and it was actually I was working on field service with the coordinator of the elders, the COBE, in my congregation. I borderline didn't like him, and so I think he felt that. But he asked me what was my 5 to 10 year goals in the organization, and I answered him, and then he was like, "So where do you see yourself? What do you want to be?" And I looked him dead in the eye, and I said, "I want to be Kobe."
Oh, wow. Okay.
And his face turned so red. I think he was angry,
That's a
but
goal.
that was me. I
Yeah.
was like, because in my head, I'm like, you know what? I can do a way better job than him. My father, he was a presiding overseer. He was Kobe. Like, I've seen how they supposed to roll. I could do a lot better job than him. Yeah, I looked him in the face and was like, I want to be Kobe. And like now, I feel bad.
Well, it's funny because my take on the Kobe was always like that's a humble appointment. That's someone that would get that doesn't really want it, you know?
most
Yeah.
most of them didn't.
Most of them didn't, you know?
No.
Yeah, they're just like, okay. You
But
know?
most of them are supposed to. The ones I've known, they have been great organizers.
Mhm.
My father, he was a great organizer, and he didn't want any extra attention. He didn't think of it like, oh, I'm a leader. He was a good organizer,
Yeah.
and he knew how to like lovingly deal with people, and that was his appeal. So that in my head, that's what I wanted to be. And this particular brother, I didn't see that,
Yeah.
and so yeah, the narcissism in me came out.
We touched on this a little bit, but I really am curious. I think you said you're in Seattle now
In Washington, I'm in Eastern
or in
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah.
So we're pretty
Hmm.
close. I'm in Oregon. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so maybe one of these days we'll see each other in real life.
For real. Yeah.
But a lot of your time also grew up, I think, in Atlanta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in a few years, I will match this, but I lived in Atlanta for 21 years. I was born in Chicago,
Mm,
and then we lived in Houston for 6 or 7 years, and then we moved to Atlanta when I was 19. And yeah, I had been in Atlanta for 21 years, but where I'm at now, I'm coming up on matching that. But
okay.
Atlanta was a huge
Was
part of my life.
was growing up in Atlanta like a larger black community?
It, outside of where we lived, it was.
Okay.
When
You found
when,
it. You,
when we moved there, oh my goodness, we knew somebody who we knew in Houston,
okay.
and so we visited that Kingdom Hall first. And it's, man, you would think it's in another world, but it's only actually like 20 miles west of Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah.
When we moved there, it was mostly rural,
Yeah.
predominantly white, and like just I felt like I was in a different world. And that's when you spoke about race earlier. Like that's where my mind went. I up until that point, I saw us as one organization,
Yeah.
like one voice.
Yeah.
And we moved to Douglasville, Georgia, and it's like it was 30 miles from the Alabama state line, and it's like those friends taught me a different perspective of different people in the organization, and a lot of people, a lot of the witnesses called our family like a pioneer family because we were like the second black family in that congregation.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
So
it
you
was
so so
wild.
you had a couple different flavors of the organization.
Yeah,
And well,
yeah.
and I've also found too, we've mentioned this before on pod. Gosh, sometimes congregation to congregation, even if it's not about race, they just feel different.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Sometimes you get into this really loving congregation and you're like, man, this is great. And
Hmm.
then you get into another congregation, you're like, something just seems off.
Oh yeah.
Which
Yeah.
which is why I think people would just kind of bounce around to different congregations to find their
Hmm.
fit. And then they tried to really they cut that off. Like, no, you got to be where your
Yeah.
territory's at.
Yeah.
Which is another part of the organization structure to kind of close out halls and save
Hmm.
some money and sell off property and whatnot. But
Yeah.
so yeah, so you found, was some of that moving to different areas, did that ever kind of trigger anything in your brain? Like, why would it be different?
It raised certain questions because when we moved from Chicago in 1983, I was 13, and like I just noticed right off the bat some of like the personal choices for grooming was different
Hmm.
than it was in Chicago. And then again, when we moved in 1989, we moved to Atlanta, and some of their personal choices for grooming, what they accepted was different than in Houston. And that kind of like, I'm like, why is it different? And we're all one organization,
Yeah,
you know?
it's supposed to be
You
one
know,
worldwide organization.
yeah. But you have these different preferences.
Christ kind of looks the other way when it comes to some congregations.
Yeah.
I remember, well, the whole funny thing now is the beards, right? Change it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe some of these congregations got their own little mini new light, for how to dress and groom. I remember
Hmm.
they announced in my congregation. I'm in Oregon now, but a lot of my years was in Phoenix, Arizona,
Okay.
and it was so funny because there was an announcement that we couldn't wear like jean dresses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that the sisters, the women were wearing jean dresses. It was a little too casual.
Hmm.
And then that very meeting, a friend of mine, a sister, was wearing a jean dress, and she just felt so bad, that
See, yeah.
she had to walk out, and it was just like she'd been wearing that jean dress for years,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then now all of a sudden we're changing it up, like, and then she probably could move to another state or another congregation or whatever, and then put that jean dress back on, and they'd never say a thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Those are the differences I noticed, and it didn't sit right with me.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a few cracks, and they just kinda keep cracking and keep cracking and keep
Hmm.
cracking until, finally, you can't support yourself on the foundation they created for us.
Hmm.
So that's kinda where I'm wondering for my listeners. I know you've kinda told your story on your own pod and kinda your own stuff, but, for my listeners that haven't heard kinda where your journey, transitions, what was kinda some of the final things that led you down the path of finally calling it?
I think with especially where we are now in this city, the organization was a lot different from how I always explained it to my wife and kids. In fact, they would tell me they wish they could experience what I experienced from the organization growing up. The closeness, the feeling like family. They saw how, I would tell them how the organization is. I could go to Chicago, I could go to Houston, I could go to Atlanta, and I'm welcome with open arms. They got to see that personally. Where we are now is very different. I struggled a great deal, just being here in this environment with the congregations. But between that, between different things that didn't sit right with me, like the moving of the goalposts with the word generations.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
That bothered me a lot, and I couldn't really say anything to anyone. I said something to my wife, but you can't say anything in the Kingdom Hall to anybody.
Never.
They'll throw a big scarlet colored letter on your chest.
Yes, definitely.
So it was a slow progression, and it was just a series of things that happened where finally in December of 2024, I was like, I'm done. I'm tired of faking. Like, this just isn't for me.
When you made that decision to call it, by this time, your wife and your kind of kids and your family structure is pretty supportive.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I stayed in as long as I did. In my mind, I was doing it for them. I knew I didn't want to do it. I being in this community of ex witnesses, I kept hearing the term PIMO,
Mhm.
and I finally asked them, "What is PIMO?" And they told me,
Yeah.
physically and mentally out. And I was like, "Oh, in that case, I was PIMO since May of 2023."
Yeah.
Like, that was my last convention, May of 2023, and I had finally reached my last goal that I wanted in my lifetime as a witness. I was on the AV department at the regional convention, and I'm sitting there that Sunday, and I'm just like supposed to be paying attention to the meeting because I'm working the camera for the stage, and I'm thinking about all the things I've done over the years in that organization, and like for me, I had reached all my goals. I'm not happy.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to come back the second time I was disfellowship, but I did it because I felt this obligation towards my family, my parents, and my siblings. And I felt the responsibility for my family now, my wife and kids. So I came back. But yeah, I'm just sitting there at that convention, like my heart just isn't in this. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm the type of person I don't like being fake,
No, I'm the same.
and it just bothered me. And I'm giving talks, I'm giving talks, and going on shepherding calls with elders, to some of their shepherding calls, and I'm like giving public talks, and I felt like I was just being a fraud, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a level of exhaustion. You're just I've said it a bunch, but you're wearing different armor, you're wearing different masks, you're constantly juggling, you know, you're you're just tired, and I know for your sake, and this happens for a lot. It's kind of funny is the kids will be in or the partner will be in because you're in. No one's really talking to each other,
Hmm.
and you're staying in for them, and they're staying in for you, and then it turns out like, well, none of us wanted to be in.
And that's how it is. That's
Hmm.
how it was. We found out none of us want to be in. I was like, I could have like not wasted almost 2 years, and we laugh at it, but it's like,
Yeah. But that's the environment that they create, the witnesses and these high control groups and cults create is, you're just kind of afraid to say anything. We talked about it from an early age with you.
mm,
You just kind of learn like I can't not going to be able to say that.
oh yeah,
And so you just kind of bury it.
yeah.
Um so what about your siblings and your parents? Are they out? Are they shunning you? What's that like?
um, so I haven't like formally told them anything. I would say I've always been. It's kind of been strained with us anyway. Like I was the black sheep.
Mhm.
My brother and sister, they just went along with any and everything. I was the one who always asked why or
Yeah.
pushed back. Out of the three of us, I was the only one that's been disciplined through the congregation. And my sister, she was a regular pioneer. My brother, he's an elder, and it's like that's one of the things that happened to me too that kind of like just made me say, okay, life this life is short. I need to just do what I want to do and be happy, not be fake. My sister passed away last September. She had a 2 year battle with cancer, and so like it was. I was joking with somebody, but she was always on me. Like she wanted me to do good and the truth. You know, she listened in to every talk I had on Zoom. She would
Yeah.
listen in, and as soon as I get back to my seat, I look at my phone and she's texting me to like, give me encouragement, tell me how good she liked it and everything. I think I felt more comfortable to stop being a witness after she
Yeah.
passed away because she would have been on me.
No doubt. No
Yeah,
doubt.
she would
Yeah.
have. She was on me harder than my parents. So I have not told them. I did find out about a month ago that my nephew accidentally, I guess, saw my TikTok account, and
Hmm.
so he told my brother. My brother, he hasn't said anything, and the reason I hadn't said anything to my parents is because, like, one, my father just lost his firstborn child in September. My mom, her dementia has gotten a lot worse,
Mm.
and so I don't want to bring that on him too. Like
Yeah.
we lost Wanda. By the way, I'm not a witness anymore. So I'm like, I just
Yeah, that's
yeah.
that's messy. It's horrible. I remember
Hmm.
when I told my father is probably 75 now, and I made a conscious effort not to really fully tell him why. The
Yeah.
last thing I want to do is to have him be in a weird state where he's questioning his life course at his age.
Yes.
You
And
know what I
that's where
mean?
I'm at. I mentioned it on one of my episodes. My parents are both in their early 80s. They got baptized in 1966. They fully believe in
Yeah.
that religion. It was like it's their way of life, and I'm not going to be the a hole to pop up in the early 80s like your whole life was a facade.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
It is actually a loving thing to try to do.
Hmm.
I think the unfortunate thing is they'll probably find out.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
my brother, let's be real. My brother
Yeah.
probably already told my father, you know?
Yeah. And that's it's horrible to think about maybe how they're thinking.
Hmm.
Because I have the same thing with my father and my mom's not with us. She passed away of cancer.
Sorry.
Um, and um, that's the last thing I want. The funny thing is I've had conversations like I don't view myself as an apostate at all. But I know that they would view that. The moment we decide to just be vocal and just kind of have our freedom to talk about our lived experience, that all of a sudden we're a danger. That's how
Yeah.
we're taught.
Oh, yeah.
But the funny thing is you yourself and me, I've never sent him this stuff.
Mm-mm.
you know, it's not my intent to create this stuff and then send it to relatives or family
No.
members to
Mm-mm.
try to get them out. And you
No.
know, it's like if they come across it, like that's on
Mm-mm.
them. Like, you know,
Yeah.
if I ever get a text from my father, you know, it's just like, well, stop listening. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, so but we'll see what happens. Yeah, I'm curious to know, Mitch, if ever, anything ever does happen down the road with that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to hear from you if that unfortunate thing ever does happen.
Yeah. I would definitely tell you.
And I'm so sorry to hear about your sister.
Thank you.
How are you dealing with the loss of your sister? That's pretty recent.
It was very hard. I couldn't even I couldn't look at a picture without sobbing. I couldn't talk about her. Couldn't mention her name. Breaking down. Um, I've accepted it now. I'm at peace with it. She was at the end. She was in a lot of pain and suffering. So I'm glad
Yeah.
she's finished with that. It was really emotional because like 2 weeks after she passed, one of her good friends visited my father, and he called me and told me after they had this conversation. But apparently, my sister knew. I don't know at what point, but she knew it was terminal. But she never told us.
Yeah.
And she just wanted. Her friend said she just wanted to be a comfort for us before she passed. And
Yeah.
so I got livid. I'm like, why didn't she tell me? Then I'm just like, she felt she was doing the right thing, and yeah, I'm at
Yeah.
peace with it.
Yeah, you got to imagine that they don't want you to be different around
And
them,
that was her thing.
you
She
know.
didn't want any sympathy, and she was at peace with it. And I told him, now looking back, asking her certain questions and her responses, now I can see. You know,
Mhm.
I was just trying to be there for him from a young age. I internalized a lot of things, but it was very rough to get through that. That was my first like being like a close family member. That was the first one for me to pass away.
Yeah.
Like other than grandparents or aunt and uncle.
Yep. It's hard, man.
Yeah, and it was rough.
And it's unfortunate too because the older we get, it ain't gonna get better.
No. Mm-mm.
You know, that's just a given. You know, the older we get, we're just gonna face even more loss, and it's so sad.
Mm-mm.
I'm curious of what your take is on now because I remember, you know, growing up, we had all the answers.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was really easy to like, oh well, you know, we'll have an opportunity to see them in the paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you find yourself landing on kind of how you feel about life after death?
I'm with a lot of things. I'm coming to the realization, which was hard for me because for like 54 years I've been taught one way my whole life.
Yeah.
Now I'm coming to the realization that a lot of things that I've been taught all my life might not be what they call the truth.
Yeah.
And so it just makes me think. I do a lot of thinking, and I've even told my wife, like, I don't know what to think now. I don't know the state of the dead, when they
Yeah.
die. I was like, what if she's somewhere in the next life waiting on me to get there? I don't know. I, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I remember really wanting to stay in for my mom
Hmm.
with the hope of seeing her again. I pretty much landed on it's okay not to know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's I think our brains, especially the way we were raised, like we want to know all the answers. We want to know all the things
Hmm.
and it's really easy as well to try to seek that meaning as quickly as possible once we've been out and to
Yeah.
attach to this next thing. But but then we also have like because of what we went through, we also have, well, I don't want to join another cult.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah. so
No.
so we kind of land in this tough place where it's like, well, I want to find purpose and meaning, especially to kind of navigate our potential futures. But at the same time, like, I'm not attaching to some man,
No. No.
you know, that's the last thing I'm doing. So I hope I land agnostic. I hope that there is a hope.
Hmm. Yeah.
But that's something I don't have to put a lot of energy into, you know? Ironically, people talk about faith being this and that, and having faith and hope is it's not a lot of energy to,
Hmm.
just I have faith and hope that something might exist after our death.
Yeah.
And then I just move on because
Yeah.
I land on, if this is the only life to live, life's for living, man. I gotta do as much as possible, to fulfill this life course. And if
Yeah.
I wake up and I'm like, oh shit, there's something new after this. Okay,
Hmm.
let's, hopefully all my learned experiences carry through to the next one.
And
But
that's kind of where I am now. I'm just like, you know what? I'll be 55 in October. I'm not gonna sit around and sulk about the majority of my life has been a waste for a cult.
mhm,
I'm just gonna like I'm a real person, and I'm like I have you know a good hopefully 25, 35 more years on this earth. I'm gonna
yeah.
just try to make the most of it.
Yeah, and it sounds like through your new endeavors with your community and with what you're putting out online, you're helping people, which is great. Ironically, that's kind of what we were taught to do, is to actually really help people.
Yeah.
We just were taught the wrong way, and so to some extent, you're fulfilling that promise finally.
Hmm.
Me personally, I love that my partner, along with me, we love to travel,
Nice.
so I love to see all the corners of the earth. And I had the joy of going to Rome
Oh, nice.
recently, and Croatia, and last year went to Tokyo, and we have on the docket here to go to Thailand soon.
Nice.
And it's I never had that thought in my mind at all to do any of that stuff, because it's like, oh well,
Hmm.
we'll do it in the new system.
In the new system.
You
Yeah.
know, you just put it off until the new system, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, that shit ain't real. So
Nope.
got to find the time to do it now.
Hmm.
So just to kind of close out then, since we've been talking for a little bit, and I really do appreciate you, being vulnerable with me and just kind of talking about your journey thus
Hmm.
far. What was the turning point to kind of go, okay, I want to jump online and start making my voice be heard? What was that inside you that kind of pivoted towards that?
It was, I would say, early June when I'm meeting more and more ex Jehovah's Witnesses, because you have that. It's a like the stigma against people that's left the organization, as you said, apostates, and the organization paints apostates in a very bad light. So I was afraid, even when I hadn't been to the meeting in months, I was afraid to like interact with ex Jehovah's Witnesses,
Hmm.
and I have them
we're,
laughing.
we're pretty scary.
Yeah, I had them laughing because it's like the more I talked, I'm just like they're normal people. They're loving. They're caring. They're nothing like the organization told me they were like.
Yeah.
And so I'm just talking and I'm getting to learn things. And then there was this one day when one of my friends over in the UK, we were talking about some of the cases, the court cases.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm going to send you a letter. And I just want you to look at it. And it's from a branch office to a body of elders in a congregation. And like I read it, and it's basically them saying, "Yeah, keep this person under wraps. We know what they've done. Don't tell anybody. He's newly married. You don't want to upset his new bride." And like I got livid. I saw
Yeah.
red, and I'm like, that was the day I just realized that everything I had dedicated my life to in this organization, I had fought for and defended like they were crooked. And that's when I was just like, you know what? My thing is I wanted people to know, the people that are in already, and also people who are thinking about studying or who are studying. I just wanted them to know, and I didn't want to do it in a way that would make it seem like I'm just some fanatic.
Hmm.
I just wanted to talk to them in real terms, tell them my experiences, whether it made me look good or bad, just so they know the whole transparent truth.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. And that's like, even if I just help one person, I always said like it'll be worth it. And I get people messaging me,
Yeah.
uh, just telling me they appreciate me being honest,
Good.
real, and that's what I tell everybody. I'm not going to tell you to stop. That's up to each and every person. I just want to give you ammunition to make an informed decision. I get people, active witnesses, pop up on some of my posts. I love Jehovah. I will always love him. I'm never going to stop. And I'm like, good. Like, stay with your conviction.
Yeah, if it works for you, great.
Yeah, one young gentleman, I'm getting baptized next week. This is the only life I want. Congratulations.
Uh-huh.
You know?
We may see you in 10 years, my man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to help people make an informed decision, and I don't. Yeah, I think of it. What really pushes me is I look at my parents and all their friends who've given so many years, decades of their life, of being a certain way. My parents was part of that, let's stay alive in 75, and all
Mhm.
that. And that, like, I get livid, what they did to my parents, and I just want to help people. That's my main motivation.
Well, and you're doing it, man, and I echo that. I have people reach out to me too and, say, like, "I wish I had something like this when I was first coming out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wish there was a better support system and, just, have community to turn to or just, bounce some ideas off of." And yeah, so I think it's really great when people can find a group of people that they can relate to and just try to heal
Mm-hmm.
with each other moving forward. And that was my whole purpose for this, is just it's just very similar to you, just to talk with people and,
Mm-hmm.
just get people together and say, "Hey, man, we understand, and we're here for you. We can talk with you." There's something really powerful about finally, as a group of how we grew up, just to just be authentic and just speak our
Mm-hmm.
truth.
Yep.
Uh,
Exactly.
which is ironic because we always called it the truth, and we just never were able to speak it. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
In
So
fact,
it's
in a lot of my message in my videos, that's what I say. I'm teaching the real truth now.
uh-huh. I would be remiss. I think we did skip over it too as we close out. Are you disfellowshipped?
No, I am not. And thank you for asking this, because a lot of people, a lot of active witnesses assume that all of us are just disfellowship,
Yeah,
and I'm very open and clear with them. Leading up, like after my sister's death in September, I had already known I didn't want to be a witness anymore, but I wanted to do it on my terms. And
yeah,
so I told the elders I wanted to step down from being a ministerial servant, because if you don't step down, they'll delete you. They
mm,
rather delete you because it looks better for the congregation, because then the congregation is like, oh, he did something wrong.
yeah,
I wanted to step down because that means it's on my terms, and I had to ask 3 different times. And the
mm,
third time, I was very stern with them. I'm like, I'm not thinking about it anymore. I don't want to be a ministerial servant. My headspace is in a different place. I need time to myself. Like, talk to the CO, the circuit overseer. I'm done, and they did. So uh, they announced that I had stepped down, and then like I just faded. I stopped
yeah.
going. I changed my address. I changed my phone number. I changed my email address. I shunned them.
There you go. There we go. That's how we
Yeah.
do it.
So yeah, I didn't get disfellowshipped. I didn't get disciplined. I left on very good terms.
Now it's possible, because of your new activity, that you may be disfellowshipped and not even know it.
Um,
They could
I,
announce.
yeah, if so, they can. I mean, they can look at my profile picture. I got a big old cigar in my mouth. So if they
Yeah.
like,
Well,
if they
that's what
would,
I mean. Like, if your cards are still at a congregation, which, for people listening that aren't witnesses, I often find myself saying things in terms,
yeah,
and for people that weren't raised and born in or whatever, they're like, "What are you talking about?"
card.
But if your cards are kind of what each person has that goes with them to congregation, that basically tells all their dirty little secrets. And we thought it was good things,
Yeah, yeah.
transfer my cards. And it's like, no, we know that you did this shit when you were 15. Um, but yeah, but your cards are still at that congregation. So,
hmm
it's possible they could announce you.
Oh yeah,
and you just never know.
and that's fine with me because
Uh,
like I left on my terms. They can do
yeah,
whatever they want now.
yeah.
Like,
They tried to get me to meet because I did write a letter. I wrote a letter of disassociation to my
mm,
father
mm,
because my father was an elder
okay,
and probably still is with everything, like all my thoughts, everything except, well, I say not everything, but I left out a lot for his brain.
hmm,
Um, but I basically said, hey, and this is my disassociate, and he wouldn't accept it. He said, no, you gotta write a disassociation letter to your own congregation. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not then. I'm out
hmm,
because I'm not trying to meet with elders, and you know how that's gonna go.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Their control game.
yeah, they're not actually gonna try to hear you out.
No. Mm-mm.
So I knew better than that. But for anyone that's wanting to do that, like, you do what's right for you.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
it's one of those things where if you feel like you want to make that actual cut and go through that process, great.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's what I tell my listeners as well. Like we all have our different paths. Some feel they need that hard line cut off, but for me, I get like I told you earlier, I always turned myself in.
hmm,
This time, I'm like, no, they're not going to control me. Like
yeah,
I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it. That's the end of it.
you're learning to break those cycles.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, little by little. So now, what do we have to look forward to? So you're free, your family's free. You're starting up some things. What can my listeners kind of hear about where you're at now as we kind of close out?
I I am huge on providing the ex Jehovah's Witness community with what we didn't receive in the
Mhm.
organization, which is genuine love, genuine care, and genuine acceptance. And for me, it's huge for me to open up to everyone, no matter what their story is. My wife almost flipped backwards because last week I interviewed a female, and she's a lesbian, and my wife said like the old you wouldn't have never done that. And I was like, yeah, it's part of me. Like I'm accepting everyone, and I want everyone to feel safe. And that's the feedback I'm getting. They feel that I provide a safe place where they can talk and be loved and be heard and not judged. And that's what I want to do. I want to continue building on that and just being a voice for those who can't speak. I would say that's my for me that is my biggest thing. A lot of individuals tell me for whatever reason they can't speak up as freely as I can. And I took that for granted.
Yeah,
Like, I decided one day, like we were joking, I just hit record
yeah,
whenever I want to. I took that for granted. And the more and more people each week who told me they don't have that luxury. My spouse is still in,
yeah.
or I'm with my parents. I can't be vocal. And when they told me that I'm they consider me their voice, I take that seriously.
Sure.
And I'm not gonna I'm sorry.
No, take your time.
It makes me like emotional still. What that organization did to a lot of us.
Yeah,
So I'm not like I don't take this responsibility lightly. Like I'm gonna be that voice for those that can't talk right
that's
now,
beautiful.
and I'm gonna be that voice.
Where did your mind go just now?
I'm just like I feel bad for everybody. That organization messed up a lot of us
Yeah, I agree.
mentally and emotionally, and
I think people like you
yeah,
that and I'm humble, but I'd like to think people like me as well that are having these conversations where we're real, um, I think is really helping.
Hmm.
Yes, we're not fully healed. There's no way we're possibly going to be just like, oh, I'm great. You know, like, months go
Yeah,
by, a year
yeah.
go by, a few years go by. It's like, no, like we talked about, those ripple effects are still felt. Um,
Oh
but I
yeah.
think if we surround ourselves by people that, really have the empathy and care, and want to do right by the community, people see that genuine, they feel it, and it resonates, and they
Hmm.
they can feel like we're surrounded by safe people in a safe space. So I felt that
Yeah.
from you, like I said at the outset, from the moment I started watching some of your content. And that's why I'm so grateful that we were able to connect and have you on here today too.
Yeah. Likewise. And I don't do it for, like the young people say, for
Yeah,
clicks
yeah, yeah,
or likes. I'm, as you can see, I'm very passionate about this. Like, I want to help people. I want them to. The organization had us afraid to talk. It had us afraid to think. And for people to tell me that I'm providing that safe
yeah.
space for them, like, I take it very seriously, and I'm passionate about it.
I think it's great.
And I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna be quiet about it.
Yeah, and like you said, it's
Yeah.
even if it's one person, I think the thing I think about is, I might put a podcast out, months go by, we're kind of, moving forward, we're talking with the next people, we're doing the next thing, and then months from now, a year from now, someone finally stumbles across it. They're 13, they're 15, they're 30, they're 40,
Mm,
and then whatever in their mind clicks, where they go, I'm gonna hit play, and then that's like the first step forward. While scary, it could even be this podcast you're listening to now.
mm-hmm.
While scary, it's like we're not we're not bad people. We're just people that have been through some horrible shit, and
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
coming out of it. You're choosing to do right by it. Not be angry, not be ruminating and kind of being in this horrible space, but trying to stay in this space for a purpose. At least that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I chose to
Yeah.
come back to this space because I left, um, and
Mm-hmm.
moved on. And then
Okay.
years went by, and I said, okay, I'm ready to go back into it to try to help, to whatever extent possible.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, while it's great to have clicks, and the reality too, this stuff costs money. It costs time,
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and so there is a hope that people can see that, and help, both of us continue this with support. But it's
Mm.
not a driving factor to, I'm gonna be a
No.
millionaire doing this. It's,
No. Yeah.
it is what it
And
is.
yeah. I it is cost involved, and like, I'm providing these
Yeah,
safe spaces for us, and because of the back
yeah,
end of it,
oh yeah,
it costs money.
yeah.
And I'm not begging. I'm not like doing a Stephen Lett on my
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, that I was still in when I
but
watched that one. That
yeah.
one was great. I was like, "Is this happening?" Uh, well,
I appreciate what you all are doing too. It's huge. Well, as we talked before we started recording, we all have our different
yeah,
angles that we go. But I like mine is to just be transparent and help people make a decision. But I like your the way you all approach things, and going for us healing.
yeah.
We need that. A lot of us need to heal. Yeah. So I commend you all for what you all are doing.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
it's I have a mindset that it's sometimes it's, a step forward, two steps back, and then it's three steps
Hmm.
forward and two steps back, and it's just a constant.
Yeah.
But the hope and the goal for all of us that are coming out of this is even if it's slow progress forward, that we keep moving forward, and eventually we can
Hmm.
look behind this and just enjoy the real life, the actual
Yeah.
life that we're supposed to be having on this planet that we inhabit now.
Yeah.
Ironically, you talked about it earlier, but you know, the title of this episode might be, "Smooth
Mm.
Operator to the New Personality." Um, yeah,
I like that because you. I laugh because you don't know how many people have called me
That's
that
a
over the years.
I love
Smooth
it, man.
operator. That song came out, and my brother-in-law was like, "That song is
Yeah.
about you," and I was like,
And I
"Yeah."
was thinking about how you were talking about, you know, being your true authentic self is obviously we know the trigger words of putting on the new personality.
Mhm.
And it's in actuality, it's like when you finally get out, you finally start piecing things together and figuring out how to be the real true you.
Yep.
There's a term I've
Yeah.
talked about a few times called individuation, and
Mhm.
it's a thought process of finding your true authentic self. It's a Jungian philosophy, Carl Jung, and it's like that's what we got to work towards is the hard work of removing our programming and working on finding
Yeah.
who we actually are without all that mess in there. um, but it ain't easy. But
Mhm.
with people like Mitch on the
No,
case, I think some people following you are going to be better off. So appreciate you're doing the Lord's work.
I appreciate
Finally, finally.
that. I appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, I'm finally doing it. I thought I was, but
so
I wasn't.
so to close out, where can people find you online? What are some things you're doing? And of course, we'll kind of put all this stuff in the show notes as well.
On social media, if you just look up XJDub, EXJDUB, I'm on like so many social media platforms under that. For the ex Jehovah's Witness community, I have a private Facebook group where we have some pretty great conversations and questioning each other and deconstructing together. But it is the XJW Network on Facebook. Also made a website that has a private discussion forum. I have to admit you in so I can like vet you first to make sure you're part of our community. That is thexjwnetwork.org. But those are the places you can find me.
Excellent. Well, Mitch, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you being on here. And, I hope, if you ever want to come back and continue the conversation, you're always welcome back. And thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this journey in this era. If you found today's episode valuable, please share it with someone who might need it. Check the podcast description for our socials and other information.
Please consider supporting us at Patreon at patreon.com/culturepod. If you'd like to tell your story, please contact us at cult.chur.pod@gmail.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay free.